You are listening to the continuation of the story. You can listen to the previous part via the link in the description below this video. Happy listening. On Monday morning, I knew that I would have to face troubles head-on, that I would have to talk to Marion either in the kitchen or in the car on the way to work. Part of me just wanted to hide in my downstairs bedroom and not come out. The other part was telling me to pull myself together, admit what had happened, and try to move on. When I went to the kitchen to make myself some coffee, my wife was already there, silently sipping her coffee. "Good morning, Muzzy," I said, trying to pretend it was a normal morning. "Good morning, Dave," Marion replied, continuing to drink her coffee. I felt her eyes watching me as I made myself coffee, but I tried not to meet her gaze. As I finished making the coffee and took my first sip, Marion broke the awkward silence again. "So, are we going to talk about last night?" she asked softly. "I would prefer not to discuss this." "I'm still too ashamed," I replied. "Is it true? Why?" she asked. "What do you think? You caught me watching you having sex with someone else. Isn't this enough?" I said. "Perhaps, but from the outside it seemed that you liked it," she replied. "I'm not saying that I didn't like watching it, I liked it. I say I'm ashamed that you caught me." "Can I ask, was this the first time?" asked Marion. "The first time I watched it, yes." "Wait, were there other cases?" She quickly responded. "Crap, I can't believe I'm telling her this, but what do I have to lose now?" "Yes, they were. Many times." "I've never watched before, I've only listened," I replied, feeling as if I was confessing my sins. "Are we done? Can I now continue my day feeling completely humiliated?" I asked. "You don't have to worry about it, Dave. What if I told you that I also listened to how you did with the women you brought home? Would that make you feel better? Is it true? I thought it made you angry." "It didn't make me angry. It caused more disappointment than anger. But sometimes I liked it. I think I understand the guilt you are feeling now. I felt it too after this. It was difficult for me to even talk to you later in the morning. I was so ashamed of what I did, even if you didn't know about it," Marion said. "Well, damn it. This conversation didn't go at all the way I expected," I said. "You always do this, Dave. You always assume you know what I think or feel without asking me first," she replied. "Yes, you're probably right. Sorry, I didn't mean to." "No need to apologize. Just please talk to me in the future," my wife replied, and I nodded in agreement. We both sat drinking coffee in silence until Marion finally smiled and suddenly asked, "So, can I ask what you liked most about watching us?" "What? Do you want to discuss this right now? Don't you think I'm already embarrassed enough?" I answered with a slight smile. "Come on, you can tell me. I promise I won't tell too many of our friends at work," Marion teased. "Oh, really? They already think I'm some kind of cuckold for letting you have a lover," I replied. "Oh, you're a cuckold, but that has nothing to do with whether you allowed it or not," Marion laughed. I shook my head in response. She clearly enjoyed making me feel bad about what happened last night. "Come on, Dave. What exactly?" she insisted with a sly smile on her face. "I don't know, Muzzy, all this. Are you specifically trying to make me feel even more insecure? You're enjoying this, aren't you?" I asked with a grin. Marion stood up from her chair and came over to hug me. "Oh, come on, Dave. If we can't laugh at this, then what can we laugh at? If we are to have a future, we must be okay with what has happened over the past year without letting it come between us. Just next time, warn me in advance." Marion laughed, snuggling even closer to me. I hugged her back and smiled. For the first time in the last year we hugged, and with warmth and, dare I say, love. Perhaps there is hope for us after all. The next few days at work and at home went well, and my relationships with both my colleagues and my wife got better every day. At lunch on Wednesday, I was sitting chatting with Rachel at a diner near our office when, as usual, she decided to ask me a few personal questions. "So, Dave, do you see yourself and Marion again? Do you still love her?" Rachel asked. "Yes, to both questions. I just need to figure myself out first," I replied. "What does it even mean to understand yourself?" she asked quickly. I thought about it for a bit, but it was difficult for me to answer. Look, I think I need to be sure of my feelings for her before I can commit to marriage again, I said. But you just said that you still love her. What kind of feelings are we talking about then? Rachel continued, insisting on an answer. We haven't lived together for a year, and even before that, for 6 months, things weren't going smoothly for us either. This is an important step for us, and I don't want to ruin everything again, I replied. It's clear. I just think that if you both still love each other, then the rest isn't that important. You just have to find a way to make it work, Rachel said. Not everything in life is like in Hallmark movies. It's not that simple, I replied. Okay, I'll stop pestering you, at least for now, Rachel said with a smile. We continued to eat our lunch for a few minutes before I decided to take a moment and ask Rachel some questions of mine. Now it's my turn to ask personal questions. What attracted you to your fiancé? I asked. Derek? Oh, it's simple. He's a 6'5" piece of prime black beef. My legs gave way when he first came up to me and spoke. He immediately made it clear that he wanted me. His confidence and arrogance I couldn't resist. Rachel answered with a smile. So it was love at first sight. More like lust. My boyfriend at the time, of course, didn't like it. What? Did you have a boyfriend? Yeah, we were at the club together and Derek literally came up and told me that tonight he was going to give me the best sex of my life, right in front of my boyfriend. I think my boyfriend nearly wet himself in fear of having to confront this muscular black guy who towered over him. But he didn't say anything to Derek. He just looked at me like it was my fault that I put him in this position. Just pathetic, Rachel added. What was he supposed to do? By the looks of it, Derek could beat him. At least he could stand up for himself. I would respect that, even if they pushed him. But he didn't. He knew his place when someone better than him came, Rachel said, grinning. It's a little harsh, isn't it? Some big guy comes up and says he's going to sleep with you. I would expect you to at least tell him no if your boyfriend couldn't. Does all responsibility for such moments really fall on him? I answered, maybe. But like I said, Derek's confidence and arrogance, his strength and attractiveness, I was already on the edge. I wanted him to keep his promise. Well, your boyfriend could probably tell that you weren't exactly a good girl at that moment, I said with a smile. Yes, but I didn't care. He has already lost me by not standing up for himself. Derek then took me onto the dance floor and kissed me, and my boyfriend was still there watching. He didn't do anything. When he saw me respond, he ran out of the club like a coward. Derek took me home that night and kept his promise. It was the best sex of my life. We haven't looked back since, Rachel replied. And your ex-boyfriend, was he black? No, Derek is the first black guy I've dated. He's a lot more manly than all the white guys I've been with before him. He knows what he wants and just takes it. He doesn't need to apologize for being such a man. Uh-oh, feminists would call this toxic masculinity, I said in response. All these ugly feminists who can't find a boyfriend can talk about toxic masculinity all they want, but give them a chance with some handsome, masculine guy like my Derek, and they'll be with them faster than anyone else. They are full of crap. They pretend that they like more feminine guys, but in reality they just like the way they submit to them. Real women want real men always, Rachel replied. Well, I'm sure feminists would call you a misogynist for having such opinions, I replied with a laugh. Let them call me whatever they want. I get good sex every night with the guy they only dream about. Do you think they'll ever be satisfied with their weak and obedient little fellow feminists? Hardly, Rachel laughed. Do you see me too? Do you think I'm a wimp for not being mad at my wife for sleeping with her beefy black gym owner? I asked with a smile. No, I'm just teasing you. Marion and I were talking about what happened in your marriage. She also told me about all the women you brought home and slept with. You're not a weakling, Rachel replied, smiling. I liked her answer. I was worried that they were seeing me in the wrong light because of my wife's relationship with Sean. After work, Mariana and I went home. On the way, she asked me some of her questions. Dave, Sean usually comes to see us on Wednesday evenings. "Are you really sure you're still happy with our arrangement?" she asked. I said we wouldn't change anything until I figured myself out. "So yeah, I'm okay with that," I replied. "It's just—" "Oh, never mind. I'll tell him then," Marion muttered. "What exactly, Muzzy? Speak already," I replied. "Well, it's just, we've been getting along so well lately, especially this week. I don't want to complicate our relationship if I can avoid it. It's your choice whether to sleep with Sean or not mine. But I won't hold it against you if you do, if that's what you're worried about. We both need some satisfaction in our lives, which is why I invited Tasha on Friday night. I don't feel bad about you and Sean, I really do," I said. "Okay, sorry for raising this question. I just wanted to make sure you really don't mind," Marion replied with a slightly defensive tone. "Yes, I'm fine with that, Muzzy, I'm serious. This time I will even try not to eavesdrop or spy on you. I'm still trying to get over the embarrassment from last Sunday," I added with a small laugh to lighten the mood. This at least brought a smile to Marion's face. I think she was worried that if she continued to date Sean, it would become an obstacle to our getting back together. "You don't need to do this. I mean, don't listen and don't peek. I don't mind if you want to do one of these. I can even talk to Sean. I think he won't mind either," Marion said, still smiling. "What? Are you saying that you really like me to watch?" I couldn't believe my ears. "Maybe. Don't know. I admit, I took great pleasure in seeing you in the doorway last time. I know this may sound strange, but at that moment, I really wanted to come up to you and hug you. I felt empty when you walked back down the corridor. At some point, I even wanted to run after you. But I didn't know what to say or how you would react," she admitted frankly. "I would then be too embarrassed to react in any way as you would like. I'm glad you let me go. As for watching again, I don't think that's a good idea. I shouldn't have done this the first time, and I felt shame and embarrassment for a reason. It's wrong, and it's not healthy for us," I replied. "Yes, you're probably right. I just don't want you to feel bad about it." "Okay, forget I said anything. Let's just move on," Marion replied. I nodded to her in agreement as we pulled up to our house. Later, I went for a walk to Gary's house. His wife, my boss Sonia, was out with my ex and colleague Beverly, so Gary and I were alone and could have a beer in peace. I felt like I needed to talk to someone about what had been going on lately, but I didn't know how to start a conversation because it was still too embarrassing. "Can I ask you something about you and Sonia?" I began. "Yes, sure. If you ever broke up, would you be able to return to her?" "Well, what if you both slept with other people?" I continued. "Why don't you just ask directly if I think you and Marion should get back together? That's what you really want to ask," Gary replied. "Maybe, but I'm really interested in knowing what you would do if this happened to you and Sonia," I replied. "Damn, Dave, I don't know. It depends on why we broke up. If the reason is already in the past, if there is no need to forgive anyone anymore, then perhaps yes," he answered. "What about other people? What if you both slept with others while you were apart?" I clarified. "Well, if we agreed to separate, if it was a mutual decision without cheating, then neither of us can blame the other for being with someone else. The question is more whether we want to get back together or not. But if we broke up because we cheated, that's a completely different story," Gary replied. I nodded, took a sip of beer, and we sat in silence for a while. "What is this all about, Dave? Do you want to go back to Marion, but you're not sure because she has someone now?" asked Gary. "Not really. Marion told me that she never wanted us to break up, that she wanted us to become a couple again. I'm just trying to make sense of all this in my head," I replied. "Understood. Then why ask about other people? Does this seem to be bothering you?" he asked. "Don't know. I'd like to think not." "Then why bring it up? It's okay if this is a problem for you. You can't deal with it if you don't admit that it's bothering you," Gary said. I didn't think it was a problem. "It's just—" "No, I'm acting like a child," I replied. "What exactly?" he insisted. I rubbed my hand over my face. It was hard to admit even to myself, let alone my best friend. "It's just, I know Muzzy gets a lot more pleasure out of sex with her new boyfriend than she does with me. Here, I said it, I admitted. What? How do you know this? Did you ask her? Gary was a little surprised by this confession. No, but I've heard them together many times. Hell, I even saw them once. I can't believe I'm telling you all this. I understand that I sound insecure and generally pathetic, but what now? I know she enjoys sex with him much more than with me. How can this work between us if she prefers him? I asked. Wait, did you watch your wife have sex with her boyfriend? Is it true? Gary asked, clearly a little shocked. Yes, once. I felt terrible after that, I admitted. Crap. Okay. Just, wow. You can close your mouth. It's not that shocking, right? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know how I would feel if I saw Sonia having sex with another guy, even if we weren't together at the time. Some things are hard to unsee. Yes, you tell me. But back to the question, do you think things can work out between us if I know she enjoys sex with him more? I asked again. Okay, was Marion the best sex you ever had? Gary asked in response. Perhaps, although Tasha from the bar is probably even better. And Beverly was damn good, I replied. Then Tasha is stopping you from wanting to be with Marion again. That you might miss out on the opportunity to be with her if you get back together? Gary replied. No, not at all like that. I'm just having fun with Tasha. I love my wife. That's a big difference, I replied. Then I think you answered your own question. Marion also doesn't care that her current partner is better in bed as long as she loves you and not him, Gary said. Yes, you're probably right. It's just hard to come to terms with the idea that I'm no longer the best lover for my own wife, I said. Pride is such a bitch, yes, but you can handle it if you don't let it eat away at you. That won't help anyone, Gary replied, and we continued drinking our beer. As I walked home down the street, I continued to think about his words. In the end, I realized that Gary was right. I can't let my own insecurities ruin what might happen between me and Marion. I know I still love her, and now I have a chance to take our marriage back in a way I couldn't have imagined just a week ago. No, if this is going to work out for us, I need to accept that we both slept with other people. Damn it, I was the one who slept with a lot of women, and Marion was only with one man. But why does this guy have to be some damn athletic black Adonis? This thought made me quietly laugh at myself, the absurdity of my feelings about the fact that I was supposedly sexually inferior to my wife's lover. For me, sex with Tasha was just fun, just like Marion said her relationship with Sean was just fun. I enjoyed my time with Tasha, and Marion should enjoy her relationship with Sean. Yes, for both of us, it was just fun. When I opened the door to our house, the sounds of lovemaking coming from the top floor immediately attracted my attention. After drinking a glass of water, I sat in almost complete darkness on the sofa in our living room, quietly listening to their sounds echoing throughout the house. I know Marion liked the way I looked at her last time, and I liked it too, more than I care to admit both to her and to myself. But this is clearly not healthy for me. Although it was difficult for me to resist, I still forced myself to go downstairs and get into the shower. Enough of this already. After I dried myself off, I thought about going to bed, but I could still hear them upstairs. I knew that if I just lay down, I would be fighting a futile battle listening to them. So I turned on the TV, sat on the couch downstairs, and watched the sports news to pass the time until they finished. About half an hour later, I thought I heard Marion talking to Sean at the front door. Apparently, she was saying goodbye to him. A few minutes later, Marion poked her head into the living room and then came and sat next to me on the sofa. I didn't know you were already home. Are you okay? She asked during a TV commercial break. Yes, I'm fine. I heard you when I got home, so I decided to take a shower and watch TV while you finished, I replied. Sorry, I know it wasn't easy for you, just like it was for me. But I just told Sean that this was our last time, she said. You didn't have to do that. We agreed that we wouldn't change anything until I sorted out my feelings. I didn't ask you to stop seeing him right now, I replied. I know, it doesn't feel right to be with him anymore. When we finished today, I only thought about you. This is what helped me make this decision. I don't need Sean in my life, but I do need you, she said. I reached out and took her hand. We continued to sit and watch the sports news until I decided to turn off the TV to talk to her. I needed to make a decision about our future, and maybe talking to my wife right now could help me do that. Can I ask why? Why do you still want to be with me after everything I put you through? Any sensible woman would have left long ago, I asked. Marian reached out her other hand and gently stroked my cheek. Because I still love you. It was very hard for me to watch you destroy yourself after the financial crisis, after losing your job and blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. No matter what I tried, you wanted to punish yourself and push me away. But I knew that you didn't do this because you didn't love me. On the contrary, I knew that you felt shame for letting me down, and I could not convince you otherwise. But how can you still love me now? I wanted us to break up, start sleeping with other women, even dated one of them for several months, almost moved in with her. Why didn't you see me as a lost person and leave? I continued. I almost left. I wanted to do it several times. But in the end, I still had hope that you would come to your senses, that you will understand that I am still here, that I still love you. I just couldn't leave you, I couldn't, Marian answered. I nodded in response, then leaned down and softly kissed her hand. Marian pressed herself close to me, laying her head on my chest, and I hugged her and held her, enjoying the moment. We sat in silence for 10 minutes. Finally, Marian said goodnight to me, got up and went upstairs to shower before bed. But something has changed between us. I again felt that connection with my wife that I had not felt for several years. Now I know for sure that I want our marriage to be real again, and that I should at least try. I stood up and followed my wife upstairs to her bathroom. She was already in the shower when I entered. I expected her to say something or ask what I was doing, but she simply opened the shower door as if inviting me to join. I missed you so much, I missed these moments so much, she said quietly. Yes, I can't believe that I didn't notice for so long what was in front of my eyes all this time. I'll never put you through this again, I swear, I replied. Just promise that you will love me, that's all I need, said Marian. Oh, I will love you every night, sometimes even twice, I answered, laughing. This morning I woke up in the old bedroom that I once shared with my wife. We made love after the shower. It wasn't passionate sex like the one she had with Sean last night, but it was more intimate, more about us, about our reunion after 18 months of separation. Thursday and Friday passed as usual, working at a new job and then at the bar. I spent the night downstairs again so as not to wake Mariana when returning home after 3 in the morning. On Saturday, we went to the market together when I finally got out of bed. It was nice to spend time with Marian, just being together and doing couple things. We even held hands sometimes, which felt weird but was reminiscent of how it was when we first started dating years ago in college. In the evening, I went back to work at the bar, and after returning, I slept downstairs again so as not to wake Marian. Tasha was also at the bar yesterday, but I again refused her invitation to go with her. Right now, I just want to be with my wife and no one else. On Sunday, after finishing my chores, I had a late lunch with Marian and then went to Gary's. Both he and Sonia were glad that I had finally made peace with my wife. When I got home later that day, I showered and then settled down on the couch in the downstairs living room to drink a beer and watch sports. At that moment, Marian entered the room and sat down on the sofa next to me. Would you like a beer, Muzzy? I have a 6 in the fridge if you want, I offered. No, thanks, I'm fine, Marian replied, making herself comfortable next to me and watching a replay of the MMA fight that took place the night before. This is so cruel. I don't know how so many people watch this, she said after we watched the first round. We can watch something else if you want. It's a rerun. I can watch it later, I replied. It's okay. I need to iron things soon, get my clothes ready for work, and then I'll start cooking dinner. I was wondering if you would like to have dinner upstairs with me. It would be nice to eat with my husband for a change rather than alone. Yes, sure. I would love to, I replied, and with that Marion went upstairs. The dinner was great. Marion always cooked beautifully. Today, she made us a wonderful dish of ravioli, and afterwards we watched a movie together, and I ended the evening by making love to my wife. Over the next few days, we settled into a nice rhythm of going to work and then sharing meal prep duties when Muzzy returned from the gym. I usually prepared the side dishes while Marion made the main course. Then we watched some TV and then went to the bedroom for some fun. Working night shifts at a bar 3 nights in a row disrupted our rhythm this week, and I started to think about quitting my job. Now I didn't need the money she brought in as much as before, and I didn't need the women I could meet at the bar. Maybe it's time. If we are going to be together, we need to do it right. I spoke with Sonia on Saturday evening when I was able to take a short break. She accepted my resignation without trying to dissuade me. I think she knew this would happen as soon as I made peace with my wife. Sonia said that if I needed money again or if things didn't work out with my wife, she would be happy to take me back. On Sunday over lunch, I told Marion the news that I had quit my job at the bar. She was happy to understand what it meant and why I did it. Later in the evening, we enjoyed dinner together, chatting and smiling as we always did. It seemed to me that we were back to where we were before the financial crisis of 2008, and all the mess we found ourselves in then. The next week went well. I had lunch with Rachel every day, sometimes Tessa joined us. Marion ate lunch at other times and always spent it with Kara, because we don't need to be together all the time. I had now moved back into the master bedroom with Marion, and I enjoyed dinner with my wife every night before we went upstairs for great sex. On Sunday afternoon, I went to Gary's as usual. This time, not only Sonia was there, but also Beverly and her new boyfriend. I thought it would be a little awkward, but everything went fine. In a way, I was happy for her. Her new boyfriend seemed decent. Why should I worry if I'm in love with my wife again? Later that night, lying in bed, enjoying the afterglow of just having sex with Marion, I thought about how happy I was now, how lucky I was to be in love with my wife again. The only thing that bothered me was that during our sex, images appeared before my eyes, her and Sean, scenes popping up in my mind of them making love. These memories may have turned me on at the time, but they also made me anxious. I know that Marion is happy to be with me again, that this is what she wanted. I know she enjoys sex with me, but I also know that I can't make love like Sean did. However, I remember a conversation with Gary where he said that it didn't matter because she loved me, not him, and that if I dwelled on these thoughts, it would eat me up inside. Perhaps he's right. This is something I will have to come to terms with. Not all men are created equal, I guess. On Monday at work over lunch, I finally told Rachel that Marion and I were back together. Yes, I already knew. Marion told Cara last week, and she told me, and then I asked Marion, and she confirmed, Rachel answered with a laugh. You women really like to gossip, don't you? I answered, not expecting an answer. Well, this is an important event for all of us. We're all happy for you, especially Kathy from accounting. She works with your wife. She's over the moon. Katie, I'm not even sure I've ever met her. Why is she so happy for me? She's not happy for you, but because your wife is no longer with Sean. She recently divorced her husband, and she told us. Well, she heard what Sean is like in bed, so she's happy that your wife is out of the game. Now she has a chance to have fun with him, Rachel replied. Well, I'm glad I could help her, I said, laughing. Wait, you said she heard what he was like. What, you're all discussing what guys you've been with and who's like in bed? I asked again. Certainly. This is the only way to weed out all those who do not know how to make love. Nobody wants to waste energy and then lie with a guy who is good for nothing. What a disappointment that would be, Rachel said, laughing loudly, attracting the attention of other people in the cafe. Oh God, Rachel, be quiet, otherwise the guys here will get nervous from such conversations, I answered. Let them be nervous. These are those who never go out with women, like Kevin, for example. The poor guy doesn't understand why he can't find a good woman. This is cruel. And how do you know? Did you cheat on Derek with Kevin? Oh God, no. We all know because he asked one of our secretaries out last year, and on their second date, they got a little carried away. As soon as she realized that it was not packed, or rather, on the contrary, she came up with an excuse to go home. For poor Kevin, that was the end of women in our office. We are ruthless, if you haven't realized yet, Rachel replied, smiling. So how did you know Sean was so good? From my wife? I asked. No, although she also said only good things about him. But she was about the fifth or sixth woman in our office to ride that train. The first one I knew was another woman. I won't say who because she is still happily married. Anyway, she told us about him, and after that, several women from our office started going to his gym and trying to have relationships with him, especially married ones like your wife. No wonder he doesn't want a serious relationship. He gets too much married sex to be attached, Rachel replied with a sly smile. It's good to know that many married women in our office cheat on their husbands. But why do they only want to sleep with Sean and not want anything more from him? I asked. Because Sean is not a guy for a relationship. He won't take us out to dinner or to the movies, cuddle us on the couch in the evening, or meet our parents. There are other guys, husbands and boyfriends for this. They just don't know that their wives or girlfriends are sleeping with someone who is much better than them when they say they are at the gym or out with their girlfriends. They're just ignorant, like most men, Rachel replied, smiling widely. Why then do they continue to stay married if they do not love their husbands? I asked. They love their husbands, and they need their husbands, just maybe not to give them all the sexual pleasure. In addition, most women cheat on their boyfriends and husbands much more often than men can imagine. It's a lot easier for us to find someone who will fuck us good than it is for you guys to find a hot girl. Most men would be shocked to find out how many different men their loving wives or girlfriends actually had before or after they met them, Rachel continued. Men and women cheat. I think it's inevitable. Although I would say that most people have about the same experience. Well, how many partners have they had by 25, for example? Guys like to have fun too, I said. No, the gap is colossal. Most of my friends, who are in their mid-20s, have had at least 2 to 3 times as many boyfriends as their boyfriends have girlfriends, and sometimes more. Women usually tell their boyfriends that they've dated about 5 to 10 men, depending on age, if asked, Rachel replied. Why lie? Oh, they don't want to be called prostitutes, right? I clarified. Yes, but the funny thing is that you guys believe in any number we tell you. You start to feel macho when you say you've been with 12 or 15 women, as if you have a ton of experience under your belt. Meanwhile, I doubt there is a girl in her 20s who has had less than 30 boyfriends, at least 30. For most, the figure is closer to 50 or more, and I'm not talking about women of easy virtue, but about ordinary women. Women of easy virtue will have hundreds of men on their account by the age of 25. Unless we're talking about ugly and fat women or girls who have been in the same relationship this whole time, Rachel replied. So, if most women have much more experience, who do they sleep with, and where do they find them? I asked, although I already guessed the answer. At the bar where I worked, there were always a few chads who would show up and take a different girl with them almost every night. Most of the guys left empty-handed, but not the handsome chads. We have our places where we go to meet hot guys, but we never use the same places to meet the guys we want to date. It would be too easy for our guys to find out the truth. And when it comes to finding handsome guys like Sean, we get it right away. We are like ninjas. We find out from each other which guys are worth sleeping with, and then we go after them and have fun without letting anyone know about it. We especially keep this part of our lives secret from good guys who we might want to be in a relationship with later. Most women would make great secret agents. It's in our blood, Rachel finished, laughing again. Okay, I understand. All you women take turns sleeping with several hot chads, while all the normal guys are left with nothing. And then, if they are lucky, they will marry these same women a few years later when they finish running after the chads. Luckily, I guess I'm not one of the good guys, I replied with a big smile. No, you're not like that. You don't look like Kevin, you're more like Chad. But even so, just remember to keep things fresh with your wife so she doesn't start thinking about you know who again, Rachel replied with a grin. Yes, I'll try, I replied, and we finished lunch and then returned to work. The next few weeks flew by and I couldn't have been happier. My relationship with Marion was getting better and my work was going great. If I look back at where I was 5 or 6 weeks ago, when I was working two shitty jobs and hoping to one day get to sleep with some desperate drunk woman in a bar, and compare that to where I am now, it's like night and day. However, when I have sex with my wife, images of Marion and Sean still appear in my head. I keep asking myself the same questions. Why can't I forget these memories? Why do I always think about this when I make love to Marion? Why do these thoughts turn me on so much, but then make me feel terrible? Do I miss those times when I overheard my wife having sex with Sean? Do I want to see them together again more than once? I need to stop thinking about this shit, like Gary said, or it will eat me up inside, and that's exactly what's happening right now. It was Sunday morning, and I went to Gary's as usual. He was home alone, and I was glad for that. We sat on his porch, and he handed me a bottle of beer. You look like crap. What's wrong with you? Did you quarrel with Marion again? Asked Gary. No, not at all. Everything is going great, honestly. Then why is it so gloomy? What's happened? Gary continued. The devil knows. No, that's not true. I know what's wrong, but it's not easy to talk about it, I replied. Well, spit it out already, whatever it is. This is not what I should talk about. It's a little embarrassing, I said. Ashamed? Damn, Dave, I have an arm-length list of all the awkward situations you've gotten yourself into over the years. If I started telling everyone about this, you would never recover. Wait, is this about the time you saw Marion with her boyfriend? About the fact that it pisses you off? You already told me about this shit. What could be more shameful? What is it? Gary laughed. Yes, thank you, Gary. Great support from a friend, I replied with a grin. Okay, if you want to tell me, but if you don't want to, shut up and forget about it, Gary replied, still chuckling. Okay, I'll tell you. Just don't judge me, you bastard, I said with a slight laugh. Damn, Dave, I've already judged you so many times that I even lost count, Gary continued to laugh. Okay, what pisses me off is that you were right. I really keep thinking about Marion and her boyfriend. She doesn't know anything about it, but I can't understand why I keep bringing them up, I replied, taking a long sip of beer. Wait, when do you think about them? In what context? Gary clarified. I only think about them when Marion and I have sex. I don't know why, but when I think about how they were together, it makes me want her even more. I don't understand it myself, I admitted. Maybe you want her more because you feel like you're fighting for her? It's like you're trying to win her back, to win her after she's been with him. Love and jealousy can make us do strange things, Gary suggested. I don't know, I answered, but then laughed ironically. I really want her even more when I think about them together. What does this say about me? What turns me on is the thought of her sleeping with someone else. Damn it, what the hell is this anyway? I said with a tone of despair. Hey, if it works for you too, maybe you should try a threesome with her ex-boyfriend, Gary said, still chuckling, which only made my mood worse. No way. I'm not going to be some loser who sits and watches another guy have sex with my wife before I get to do it myself. I can't do that, I objected. But you already did it, and you probably liked it. You went back to your wife right after she slept with him, right? Looks like your pride hasn't caught up with reality yet. Maybe you're still in denial, Gary said, still laughing at my situation. Denial? What? Should I be okay with being some kind of cuckold? How can this even work? I just want to be with my wife, like a normal happy couple, and not think about this crap, I replied, irritated by this conversation. Of course, Dave. So why haven't you done this yet? Gary retorted. I don't know, I answered. Maybe because you like this spectacle. Are you afraid that sooner or later You will want to see them together again? Gary suggested. I fell silent, shaking my head. I wasn't sure what to say. I really enjoyed seeing my wife having fun with Sean, but that doesn't mean I want to see it again. Look, Dave, I'm just teasing you a little. I'm having fun. You are my best friend, but at the end of the day, you need to discuss this with your wife, not me. I'm just glad if Sonia does things for me every now and then. I'm not some relationship guru, Gary added, still chuckling. Yes, I just don't know how to start this conversation. Like, oh honey, by the way, every time we have sex, I remember seeing your ex have sex with you, and that's what turns me on, but then I feel terrible. Yes, great, I answered sarcastically. What's wrong with that? What are you afraid of? Just because it doesn't seem normal. You'd be surprised how many guys and women get into all sorts of weird things in their bedrooms, Gary replied, laughing a little. You speak as if you have some experience in this. Is there something you want to tell me about? For the first time during the conversation, I smiled. No, we are not that strange, Gary replied, laughing along with me. Okay, I can keep secrets if you can. Just don't even think about telling anyone what we talked about here, not even Sonia. I'll die of shame, I replied. It's okay, Dave. Now go home and decide what you will finally tell your wife, Gary said, after which I said goodbye to him and headed home. I opened the door of our house. Marion was sitting on the living room couch watching TV, so I joined her, sitting next to her and hugging her. Are you hungry already? I cooked a delicious roast, asked Marion. Soon. I'd like to talk to you a little, I replied. My wife looked at me. Usually I don't ask us to talk, we just start talking. She must have realized that I wanted to discuss something important. Is something bothering you? She asked. I think so. It's not something serious, and it's not anyone's fault. I was just thinking about it, and yes, it worries me, I replied. Marion silently continued to look at me, waiting for me to continue. I don't know how to say this, how to start this conversation, so I'll just say it. Since we got back together, every time we have sex, images and memories of you and Sean pop up in my mind, about how he had sex with you. Marion leaned her head against my shoulder. Why? Why do you think about this when we're together? I don't know, maybe because these thoughts bring me to such moments. It makes me want you even more, but then it annoys me that I think about you with him. It makes me feel bad, I admitted. Honey, I don't understand. I love you, not Sean. He never meant anything to me. I only needed him for sexual release, that's all. I'm serious, Marion answered. I know, I don't blame you. This concerns me more. I really enjoyed listening to you with him, and I enjoyed watching you. I don't understand why these memories pop up in my head during our sex, but it happens every time. Like I said, when I think about the way you made love to him, it makes me want you even more. Like I need to prove something to you, like I have to win you back or something. It makes our sex even better, to be honest. But after it's over, I hate myself for using those memories, I replied. Okay, let's put the memories aside for a second. Why do you hate yourself after this? Why is this so bad, and why does it bother you so much? She asked. Because I shouldn't think about it. No one should get turned on by the thought of someone else having sex with his wife, and better than himself, I answered. Are you worried that he was better than you? Is this the point? Marion asked in bewilderment. I've heard you with him many times, and I've seen it. You can't deny it, I replied. Is it true? I can't deny what exactly. That Sean was better in bed than you? Are you talking about this? Marion asked defiantly, looking at me again. Well, yes, I answered. Things quickly escalated. So what? What if I actually enjoyed sex with him more? Marion asked, looking at me defiantly. What do you mean? This is the moment when you tell me that I am the best, and no one can even compare to me, I replied, trying to turn everything into a joke with a smile. Oh, Dave, grow up. Just because Sean is good in bed doesn't mean you're not good, or that I don't enjoy our sex. I love what we have and our sex, I mean it. What about all the women you've slept with in the last year? Now should I worry that I'm not the best sex you've ever had? She answered with a smile. You're not the best. Tasha did things that I can't even explain to you, I answered with a smile. Marion playfully hit me with a pillow and then put her head on my shoulder again with a smile. Okay, admit that you're turned on by thoughts of me and Sean, and let's move on. You don't have to hate yourself for it. It shouldn't be a problem. Just enjoy these memories if you want. We can even use them to spice things up if you want, she suggested. How to use them, for example? I asked, slightly surprised. Well, I don't know. We can talk a little about this during sex. I could tease you a little. Would that turn you on? Asked Marion. My God, you are truly full of surprises. I didn't know you could be so mischievous, I replied. Oh, this is not naughty yet. If you want real naughtiness, you can invite Sean again and do it for real. This will be really naughty, Marion laughed. Damn, where did my wife go? What did you do to her? I laughed in response. Damn it! I just love this new Marion. If I was happy before, now I'm just in seventh heaven. Okay, maybe I'll continue to use the memories of you and him to motivate me in the bedroom, but I won't have to live them out again. You are everything I need and everything I can dream of. Although a little sexy talk during sex would be nice, I said, smiling. Okay, we can try. But I want you to always remember one thing. When I close my eyes at night, when I think about the man of my dreams, it is always you. Never him, answered Marion. I know, and it's the same for me. Although I still wouldn't mind inviting Tasha to show you her technique. Just saying, I said, laughing. I couldn't be happier than I am right now. I was never emotional as a child, so it's hard for me to explain how I could have gotten so depressed a few years ago when everything went wrong. Not only did I blame myself for all of this, but I also lashed out at those who tried to help me, those who loved me the most. I pushed them away, causing pain. I almost lost everything if it weren't for my wife's tenacity, her determination to continue loving me even when I no longer deserved her love. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to repay her for this, but I'll try every day from now on. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one.